So I'm delighted to have Marianne Cantwell here with me, who is the author of the fantastic Be a Free Range Human, which is coming out very, very soon. Marianne, thanks for coming to talk to me.
Thank you, Grace.
Just give me a really brief update about Be a Free Range Human. What is it? Where's it come from? What's the idea behind it?
Basically, the book is the stuff that your career advisor never told you. So it's about how to create a life where you don't have to have a job and where you don't have to be one of those big bucks entrepreneurs that puts everything on the line. It's basically just about doing what you and I do, Grace, creating a lifestyle and a career where you do what you love, but you're your own boss and you get to call the shots about what you do every day without following anyone else's rules.
I love that. I love that. So one of the things that I really wanted to ask you about is this idea of impossibility. So I know that there are loads of people out there who are going, well, I'd love to do this, but I can't because I have commitments, I've got a family, I've got to pay the bills, or I can't because I'm too old. So yeah, this kind of whole idea of I'd love to do something, but I feel like it's impossible. What would you say to them?
I think there's two things I'd say to that. And the first is there's a really great quote by Anne Lamott, and she says, it's not our problems that are the problem, it's our solutions that are the problem. And I love that because I just think when we have a certain type of solution, a certain restricted possibility in our mind, and that possibility doesn't quite fit what we want, we can think our problem is insurmountable. So what I want to help people do with Be a Free Range Human is expand their possibilities from this to this and to find another way of coming about it. So that's the first thing. It might be that, as Annie says, it's not your problems that are a problem, it's that you haven't seen a solution that fits it. The second thing I'd say to people, if you're thinking, yeah, but it's impossible for me because, as you say, Grace, there's commitments, there's this and that, I always like to ask you just to break it down into the why. And why is my favourite word. I always get people to ask why because I think we get a lot of answers out of it. So if you're thinking, well, I'd like to do it, but I have to provide for my kids, I go, okay, awesome. So what does provide for my kids or provide for my family mean? And it might be, okay, well, I have to be a good role model and I have to make enough money. And I'm like, brilliant. What does be a good role model mean? Does it mean showing that there's another way that you don't have to hate what you do? I mean, I hope so, right? And when it comes to like income, which is, let's face it, right? Income is often the issue people are really talking about. When you say, I have to be responsible and provide for my family, I ask you to get really, really specific. Does that mean you need £30,000 income for yourself per year? Or does that mean that you need like £80,000 of income for yourself per year? When you put a figure on it, then you're no longer dealing with the emotive issue, I need to provide for my family, and you're dealing with, can I make that exact amount of money per year doing things differently? And that is where we get exciting. That's where we have possibilities. So I ask you to separate the emotive side from the figures, from the reality of things, and then we can start to find solutions. Because frankly, then you're in the same boat as everyone else, right? You're looking to make a certain amount of money in a certain sustainable way without, going broke, without ending up in a cardboard box. And it's a lot less difficult than saying, well, a responsible person doesn't do this. It's actually just something you've separated out.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, definitely. And I think you have hit the nail on the head there with the income thing, because often it's I suppose we get used to seeing jobs and seeing, well, this is what you get. And I suppose one of the real unknowns and one of the kind of big leaps for creating your own free range career, if you like, is the whole I don't know how much money I'm going to get. So I suppose that's one of the big leaps, isn't it?
I've got a chapter about that. I think it's called How to Sell Without Selling Your Soul, which is part 4, which I think is the awesomest part of the book, by the way. If anyone wants to skip parts 1 to 3. Part 4 is awesome because what it does, it gets with this idea that ever since you graduated from university or went to your first job, however you did that, you were told how much you were allowed to earn. No, it's like negotiating salaries, right? I hated doing it. Basically told how much you're allowed to earn, have a bit of negotiation, that's how much you're set. But when you're free range, a whole thing happens where you get to set your own salary. And a lot of stuff comes up. You suddenly have to make a decision about how much you want to earn. You have to figure out what avenues you want to go down, and it's a whole new journey. And to me, it's actually one of the most exciting journeys. And the other part of free ranging, I think, is pretty exciting and quite different to old style freelancing, is that you can create a relatively stable income, almost as stable as a job, by getting smart with some of the new techniques out there about how to get a consistent funnel of people in, how to have consistent products, and how to do things in a way where you're not going out and hustling at the end of the month just so you can pay the bills. To me, I don't want that life, and that's not the life that most of my clients want, and I suspect most of your clients either, Greg. So that's the other reason I wrote Free Range Humans, is that at the moment we're told, have a job, be a big bucks, high risk entrepreneur, or be a slightly broke freelancer. And I kind of think another way.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. So one of the things that you've got in your book, which I loved, was the chapter about strengths and weaknesses. And I really liked how you said that weaknesses are just our strengths in the wrong environment. Tell us a bit more about that.
I love that. Thank you. It's my favorite quote, Grace. I think that's so important, because when we're, at school, in jobs, we are always taught to compensate for those weaknesses, to get over those weaknesses. And our strengths, I think, are just not given the time of day. So we end up focusing on our weaknesses, or we just do the things we're bad at, right? So when you're free range, I always say, look, there is no prize for just listing out the things that you need to improve on. Where magic happens is where you start discovering the things that you're great at. And the one way to discover that is to realize that your personality is made up of personality traits, and that if none of them are good or bad, what matters is that they're in the right environment. So someone who is a quick thinking person whose mind zaps everywhere might be really, really unhappy and unsuccessful, but not do particularly well in a very rigid environment that needs you to tick the boxes, toe the line, and do all those things. They might be like, oh my God, I need to be less scatty. I need to be more like these other people who are so structured. Take that person and put them in an environment, a lot like a free-range environment, where you have to think quickly, do different things at once, multitask, and they'll thrive. Say someone who is, not a creative thinker, who is a lot more structured, a lot more, likes to organize the sock drawer by colors. Put them in a creative environment where you're like, get on, be on stage, be in front of everyone, come up with ideas on the spot, and those be like, oh my God, I'm not good enough. Take them in a free-range environment of their own making, where they're paid to be like that, and suddenly they'll thrive. And so with my clients and myself, what I've found is often the things that you in a job are struggling to, overcome, the things about your personality you try to hide and you're a bit ashamed of, they're often the most valuable. And that, to me, is the magic of the free-range journey. It's not just about quitting your job. It's about getting paid to be you without apologizing for who you are.
Gosh, that's life-changing, isn't it? Yeah. I suppose, one of the big things then, for somebody who has been stuck perhaps in a job that, it's well paid, it pays the bills, but they kind of feel like it's not them. So if you've been stuck in a while, in that environment where you've been focusing on weaknesses, where your strengths haven't been valued, to take that leap from that to going out on your own, to starting things, to doing it differently, putting yourself out there, that can feel quite a big leap. So how do you find the confidence to do that? I mean, you seem like a really confident person. Is that just something that you have, that you use, or is that something you've built up? Often, one of my favourite quotes is that the reason why we often feel insecure or lack of confidence is because we compare our behind the scenes with other people's highlight reels. So could you maybe give us a little bit of insight into your behind the scenes? How has it been for you to go on this free range journey?
It's really interesting you say I'm confident, Grace, because actually I did a psychometric assessment years ago. Which one? You probably know it better than me. And it looked at all these different things, including confidence levels. And you might be surprised to know I actually have quite low confidence. I have very high intellectual confidence, so intellectance. My confidence in my thinking is quite high. But when it comes to social confidence, I'm not the most confident person out there by any means. I freeze up a lot in social situations and kind of need to leave quite quickly. despite being an extrovert, sometimes that happens. I actually wouldn't say I'm the most confident person. Today, actually, I sent out the free chapter to be a human to everyone who'd signed up to hear about it, and I was so nervous. Like, I was just like sitting there, my partner going, "Can I press send? Should I press send? What if they don't like it?" I say that because everyone is nervous. Everyone has something that is their trigger. Their trigger might not be the same as yours. I have specific triggers, and I know they're not the same as other people's. So I have words in my head that my top dog, my inner critic, says. So my keywords are, not good enough. So good enough is one of my words. Other people don't recognize that as a trigger word. So you will have trigger words that are your, and you will say them again and again. And what we'll do is we tend to pick out the other people who either don't have those trigger words or asking them. And we forget the other pieces of confidence that we have. So when I was at a lower point in my confidence, I was in a job, I was doing well, but I just wasn't me. I wasn't able to see the places I was most confident. So I came across thinking, how can I do this? How can I be one of those people? Who am I to do that? And the thing that really changed for me was when I realized that, I might not be that person who can walk up to anyone and strike up a conversation, no matter what. But, I am a person who has confidence in different areas. So I love being on stage. Not everyone else does. I love making videos. Not everyone does. They're my confidences. I find it harder to have a one-on-one in-depth conversation with a complete stranger than I do to get up on stage. And when I realized, oh, hold on a sec, that's a different type of confidence. And even if you're watching this and you're like a much more introverted type of person, you're like, I'd never go up on stage in a million years, that's awesome. You probably have a confidence that I don't have in something else. I think what it's about is actually knowing where it is that you shine and not comparing yourself and constantly judging yourself like you're in a performance review at all times against other people. Because I heard another quote lately that I really like, and it was something along the lines of, there's no point trying to be someone else because all of that type of person is already taken. Someone else is already that person. And to me, the most amazing part of free ranging is the ability to define your environment and create the conditions in which you perform best. So, Grace, if you meet me and I come across as confident, that's because you've met me in an environment that I've chosen to be in and that I am comfortable in. If you're in a job, you can't always do that. And sure, you're going to push yourself out of the comfort zone. Like I do that all the time. But am I confident doing it? No, I'm a little bit scared. But here's another thing I got recently. I really realized that the word intrepid is really similar to trepidation. And that you can't have an intrepid life without allowing some trepidation into it. So once we embrace that, and once we stop going, I've got to be super confident, I've got to have all my ducks in a row before I'm allowed out the front door, and we go, hey, everyone's a bit nervous. Everyone messes up, and it's okay. I think a lot more possibilities open up to you.
Wow. I love that. That whole, actually, it's not about whether we're the right kind of person, it's about creating the right kind of life for who we are and just being who you are and then doing that.
Exactly.
Okay. Oh, wow. Cool. So when's the book out?
It's out very soon. So the copies are going to be landing in people's mailbox if they've ordered it via the pre-launch that we're doing soon in the first week of January 2013, which is so soon. And there's a pre-launch happening in around the sort of 8th and 9th of December. So if you want to go to beafreerangehuman.com, that's where you kind of sign up, watch the crazy video I filmed on a cliff edge in California the other week. And sign up to hear about it because we're doing some really awesome pre-launch stuff, which I'm sure Grace will tell you about.
Fantastic. Okay. Oh, thanks so much for your time, Marianne, and best of luck with the launch.
Thank you, Grace. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.